very good afternoon to our viewers and welcome to On the Spot. My name is Lahja Nashuuta. With me in the studio is Honorable Joseph Kauandenge. Mr. Kauandenge, welcome.
Thank you.
To start with, I know you are not a stranger to Namibian politics. Having served 5 years as a member of parliament, during that time, you have been very vocal on the issues that are affecting the well-being of our Namibians. But briefly, walk us through your political journey.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, when people look at my face, they think I'm a very young man, right? But I'm not that young. I'm also not that old. But one thing that Namibians, perhaps many don't know, is that I started my political career around 1988, 89, before the independence of this country. At that time, during the liberation struggle, we used to get involved in politics at a very early age. So by that time, I was, 14, 15 years old there. So my family background has always been DTA at the time. So naturally, the national progression then was that I should then, if I join politics, obviously now join DTA at the time. And I was a DTA member up until the 90s when I became president of a student association affiliated at the time with DTA as well, NACOS, 94 there, 95. I became the Secretary General of the DTA Youth League. Then I went there and there and there until 2003. So if you calculate from 89 up to 2003, that's almost 16 years that I have been a member of the DTA. Okay? And then Nudo went out. I followed the late Paramount Chief Rirwako in 2003. I became the SG of the party, Nudo. In 2004, I was what I called unfairly treated because I was the SG at the time of Nudo. But politics being what it is, and the chief wanted to bring somebody else, may his soul rest in peace, my paramount chief, things were formed there that made me to lose my position as SG of the party after I really worked very hard for Nudo in the first election. So after 2004, I went out of Nudo. I went and I became Josie the musician, right? And then I went into music. I stayed there, maybe 1 or 2 parties there, and then I just went into business. So 2014, after my paramount chief and president died, the Nudo leadership came back to me. I did not go back to Nudo. It's on public record. They came back to me to say, the chief has died. Now we want you to come back to Nudo because without you, I think we are going to struggle to get the party going. So I went back and I became a city councillor in 2015 up to 2018. Then from 2018 up to 2021, this year, I was a member of parliament. So that's my journey. And during that time as well, I went and studied further. I studied law. As I'm sitting here, I'm not just a novice singer or a politician. I'm qualified in that field. And I'm actually now also doing consultancy work here and there. But that's basically who Kauandenge is.
Okay, during your tenure as SG of Nudo, what could be your highlights or the most, what could be some of the achievements that you could look back and say, okay, I have done it?
Well, I always say Nudo is a party like none other. Nudo, it's a different kettle of fish altogether because it's not like your traditional political party that you have a constitution that You follow things through your constitution. Unfortunately, Nudo has been formed by the late Chief Jose Akutagoka Shikururumi. In actual fact, it was formed by the traditional chiefs. So it still has that hangover of being a party that is controlled by traditional chiefs. So now, even if you sit there as an SG of the party, and you say this should happen, or this is the direction I think the party should go to, you will have another force called the traditional chief, sitting under the tree there, eating their onyama and omaere, and directing that the party should not go that way, should go this way. So there is that constant infight between the democratically elected leadership of the party and the traditional chief within the party. So as much as you want to do what, you cannot really achieve that much. But I think from my part as an SG, I try to stabilize the party to the best of my knowledge. I try to bring in other tribes within the party as well, because I believe that Nudo should transcend tribal barriers and become a party for all Namibians. So I try to bring that element inside there. But the highlight of my term as an ASG, I think I have performed very well in the Parliament of the Republic of Namibia. In fact, I was one among the few politicians in that parliament that could stand up in that parliament and advocate and articulate issues without actually having a prepared speech, and then somewhere through the line there, you don't know what the words are. So I really contributed a lot in that respect, and that is open for any Namibian to go and consult the Hansards of Parliament. So, and I think to that extent, I really did my level best, but Nudo, it's a very difficult party to lead. It doesn't matter who you bring there as a leader. He or she will always struggle to lead Nudo as a political party.
But why?
Because of the influence of the traditional chiefs. Because they are a powerful force within the party. If they don't want anything to happen, even if you as a leadership decides that this should be the thing to happen, it won't happen. And you remember last year, the infights within the party, the constant bickering that cost us actually a seat in parliament. It's because of that influence of the traditional chiefs.
What could be other challenges that you picked up as an HG, apart from the involvement of traditional chiefs?
It's a branding of the party itself that we should. I always believe that it should transcend where we come from. We cannot be in 1964 now. 1964 is already gone. You have to revamp. You have to adapt to new technologies and ideas, and bring in fresh blood within the parameter of the party. I remember last year when I decided not to run as president of the party, I said there is a cancer. It was last year in April that will kill Nudo if we don't change direction. But they were saying, that one, he's just talking nonsense because he's fearing that he does not have the support within the party to campaign for presidency. But I warned and I said, if we don't change direction, we might end up losing more than that we can gain. And exactly that is what happened. You have a faction that went to Suwanu. They campaign under Suwanu, but still until today, they are claiming that they are the rightful leaders of the party. The party is in court. I don't know how long that will take, and the money that we will waste in that court battle as well. So that's unfortunately the state of the party called Nudo that is dear to all of us, but unfortunately the configuration of the party needs to be revamped. Yes. And traditional chief been taken out and told, you are just advisory, or you sit here in advisory capacity. Let the democratically elected leadership lead this party as best as they can, and let them fail as best as they can.
You failed as the Nudo leadership over the last 5 years or 6 years. The party is in this mess squarely because of your leadership.
Okay.
Because when you took over from leadership of Bai, you've even admitted that the party was sort of stable. But now you left as the SG, and we don't know whether you are still a member or not at this stage. Are you a member? Maybe if you can tell us, because you said you will die in this party.
Yes, let me come to the question. I think people, and I always say people have amnesia sometimes, or deliberately they have that thing of trying to forget for their own convenience, right? When we took this party in 2018, it was a party in disarray as well. Because we remember, we had congresses at greater centers that was abandoned in the night. And we had to come back 2019 and have another congress. So there was no way that anybody can claim that when we took the party over, the party was in good hands. Where it was in disarray. Because unfortunately, the leadership of Honorable Kandrolu at the time could not accept that they were defeated by our team, which was Team Nudo under President Ushiwa Mwinyangwe. And that fight continued. It never stopped. When we took over the leadership, that fight still continued. We were a leadership, yes, elected, but within ourselves as well. Even in our executive committee, we had elements of the former Councillor Kandrolu also fighting against us as a leadership that was there, right? So as much as the blame can be blamed to us, it's fine. It's a democracy anyway, but it's not the truth. And then while we are fighting this one, the president accepted the deputy minister position. And another fight started. Now directly with the late Chief Rukoro, Wewe Rukoro, and his traditional chiefs. So how could you put your basis as a leadership fighting two groups within the same party that are gunning for the party leadership, and yet the same people expect you that everything should go as smooth in the party? How will that do? So we fought those battles until at the time when the party was no more governable. So we had to compromise because of the interest of the party and bring the likes of the Kandrolus, the likes of Mujinjiri, and the likes of whoever back to the party to try to harmonize the situation within the party. So believe me, in all accounts and in all fairness and honesty, we did not lead for the past 5 years. It was a party under chaos, under constant infighting. Sometimes it reached you, the media, sometimes it did not reach the media, but we were fighting one another in the party. There was no time to really concentrate on the bigger picture of the party survival.
Are you still a member?
A member of Nudo. Of course, I'm still a member of Nudo. Because the irony of the situation is this, that how can you claim to be a member of the party and then you have started an association? I said, anybody that asks me that question must come and tell me in the party constitution of Nudo where it says I cannot start an association. Because I read through the constitution before I started. I was looking for that clause that says no. The only clause that says, that's in our constitution, says you cannot belong to another party at the same time, dual membership, right? And I haven't started a party. I have started an association for the interest and aspiration of the citizens of the city of Windhoek. So whoever have to take me on that one must take me on that one, but for showing me where in the constitution you say I cannot start it.
But will Asoli not be contesting against Nudo at the local authority elections later this year?
No, we will, of course.
So how will you compete against the party from Law?
The funny and the good part of that question is that when we are in Asoli, we are not in Asoli as Nudo members. We have members from all political parties within Asoli. Members that are not Nudo members, for that matter.
How does this help your party, Nudo?
My party, Nudo, cannot be helped by Asoli creation, right? So the leadership that are...
So you are destroying Nudo?
No, the Nudo is not being destroyed by me. It has been destroyed a long time ago by itself.
You are just helping the whole burial process?
No, I'm not helping the burial process. I'm doing my thing. Nudo must just do its things there.
Okay. When you resigned from Nudo, you affirmed that you are not going to terminate your membership. But then there's a statement that you made to say a good dancer knows when to leave the stage. It sounds like you just left the stage to go create your own stage.
Of course. By all accounts and purposes, yes. Because my understanding is that I cannot be a hypocrite, really, and remain in the leadership of something that I don't see my vision and mission being accomplished at where I am. And that does not deduct from me that I cannot be a member of that something, just an ordinary member. But as a leader, I cannot.
Now,
Right.
Kauandenge,
Yes.
are you then not, is it not then convenient for you to claim that you belong to the party Nudo, while you have your own thing running parallel with Nudo, and then you are benefiting from those who still feel that you are one of theirs as a Nudo member, while this is to the detriment of Nudo? Clearly, you are a man with your bread buttered on both sides.
Well, it's again very convenient for some people to forget, because the same question can be asked by those that went and took members of Nudo to Swanu, but today they are still claiming that they are members of the Nudo party. They are even fighting to remain relevant within the structures of the party. The same question can be asked from the likes of Mujinjiri, who took members and competed against Nuto Ino Kakarara, but thereby creating a vacuum for LPM to penetrate Okakarara at the time and have a seat in the local authority of Okakarara. So if it has to be, then it must be a cut across the broad, the board. It cannot only be a Kauandenge issue.
And then they say two wrongs don't make a right. For somebody who occupied the office of the SG, who was there to protect the interest and guard the interest of the party, how do you then follow the same?
No, the precedent has already been created. The precedent has been created unless it is being ratified by a new constitution of the party adopted and agreed to as such. I will do the same.
As a lawyer, are you then using these loopholes in your constitution to say, you read the constitution, you see where there's a loophole, and then you penetrate?
No. I have no bickering with the Nuto party and whatever. They can even fire me tomorrow if they so wish.
Just resign?
No, I have no reason to resign.
Why don't you just do the honorable thing?
No. I'm not going to resign because it's not in my best interest to do so. If they so wish to, let them fire me. But I'm not going to resign.
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable Kauandenge, we've been reading these social media posts and things like that, different reactions. Some people are saying you are a party hopper, you are a political grasshopper. Others are saying, no, you are a political prostitute. You go from one party to another when it's convenient for you, when there's money for you. How do you respond to those who say, no, Kauandenge should not be taken seriously? He's just a political prostitute.
Well, how does a political prostitute that does not need to be taken seriously amass so many people to be behind him, and even to the extent of registering the association? Because you don't stand up in the morning and just register an association or a political party for that matter. You must have a support base behind your back that supports you to be able to register that's something that you are registering. Yeah. So then those that follow me, they are equally then party prostitutes and party hoppers and whatever the names you want to give them, which is very good. So what does it do to you who is not a party hopper or a party prostitute or whatever the case you might be? Be in your corner, let those that are party hoppers and party prostitutes do their thing there. Why are you bothered? And that has been my answer to anybody that called me that. And in fact, when you were young, all of us, you made some mistakes as a young person. But as you grow older and older, you learn from your mistakes, and then you say, okay, now I'm mature, I cannot do this anymore, or this, or this, or this. Everybody that is on social media, they talking about this or that. Surely in their youth, they have made some mistakes. Mine cannot define me forever. 30 years ago, that's when I was moving from this party to that party. 30 years still, I must be defined by that. That's for me, it's rubbish, as far as I'm concerned. And in the end, at the end, we are people that are starting political parties. And we give whatever we have, their ideals, our principles, and whatever we have to the public outside there. It's for the public to decide whether they will follow you or not, isn't it? Because you cannot force somebody to come and follow you, isn't it? So as far as I'm concerned, let them say whatever they want to say. I will prove them wrong.
You're not a political prostitute.
No, I was never, and I will never be one. Even if we speak today, how many politicians have moved from this party to that party and back from this party to that party? What are they?
But you would also argue it's your democratic constitutional right to associate with any information of...
Oh, of course, because for me, that classification defeats the whole purpose. What does Kauandenge has people or have people that follows him? Where did he get the names to register the people that registered this association? Right? So there must be some people within the Namibian society that still regard Kauandenge as a person of interest, as a leader in their eyes, as a person that they have to follow. And that's why they are supporting him, irrespective of who says what. Yesterday, we have a classical example of the president of this country. When she was campaigning, she was called what? Old. She's a woman. She cannot deliver. 2 months into her presidency, everyone is praising her. She's really doing very well. And now you look to them and say, some people are not serious. Today they will insult Kauandenge. But tomorrow, when Kauandenge is where now you have to pass through and get whatever you want, you will say, Honorable, can you please help me here? So that's part of life. I'm used to that.
Okay, now Honorable Kauandenge, you are a veteran in this game of politics. There are many formations out there are many associations out there. Did you not see any of these already established political organizations or associations as vehicles to advance your cause rather than perhaps starting something afresh as Asoli? Or you don't want to be led?
It's not a question of being led, really. It's a question of, as you say, looking around. And in identifying your ideals and your principles, whether they will fit with this outfit or not. And unfortunately, when I look around, I could not find any. Because each and every party that I know, and each and every institution that I know, they have their own fights in-house. Their houses are on fire everywhere where you go, all these political parties. So I needed to bring something fresh that I can take some of these young people along with and actually try to mold them into becoming, because some of us, we don't have that long in politics anyway. Some want to die in the offices. I'm not one of those. I want to retire and have my, one day, my life going forward. But looking around, I saw, there is nothing here that I can really follow. Hence, I started this to be able to see whether I can be myself as a leader and direct this movement or this association to achieve what I could not achieve even under Nudo or under DTA or under the other party that I was in. I want to give it a direction and a focus and see whether I will be able to achieve what is in the head or not.
So Asoli is the serious litmus test for Kauandenge. If we are to judge you one day, if we have to reflect, we should judge you based on what you achieve or fail to achieve at Asoli.
Absolutely, because coming to Asoli, I came with a wealth of knowledge of where I was, what was the pitfalls of this movement, where I came from. I have learned a lot through the process. So Asoli will be now the test to see what can Kauandenge achieve, flying like an eagle, right? Stretching my, whatever you call it, wings. That then can define where I was when I'm not here. Because there where you could want to do this, but then you are told, no, you cannot do that, then you are, now here, let the Namibians see me for what I am, and let them judge me for what I am under Asoli.
Why Windhoek specifically?
Every child, I believe, before the child start walking, have to, what is it? Crawl. we are crawling, and we start here in the capital city, because for the better part of my 5 years that I have served under the city of Windhoek, I have established rapport with the citizens of this city. And I said in Parliament in my maiden speech in 2019 actually, that if I knew Parliament is this, the way it is currently, I could have rather remained at the city of Windhoek. Why? Because at least at the city of Windhoek, when I was a councillor, you could come and address issues that affect people, and immediately they get a relief, being it housing, being it water, being it what. I like to communicate and be with people. I like to help people, sometimes taking even from my own pocket and helping them in the process. So, but at the city of Windhoek, I mean at the Parliament, you legislate laws. You don't get that time to really get to know and sit with people. So we thought, let's start here, where we also have a leadership vacuum within the city of Windhoek as we speak. Hopefully, in the November election, the composition of that council might be different, so that at least parties cannot really be fighting over these positions and that position, but really be able to address the socio-economic problems confronting the citizens of Windhoek. So we are crawling first from the city of Windhoek, but don't be surprised as well, because as of this morning, I'm receiving calls from others, from other towns, that are saying we want also to participate in our locality under Asoli name. But this is also permissible in the law, because although we are registered here as an association for the city of Windhoek, if there is a group in Swakopmund or Kakarara or wherever, and they want to campaign and go under the Asoli name, they are permitted by law to do so, provided that they meet certain requirements. But I have received that, so I'm not going to be surprised after the launching if you hear Asoli is in Windhoek, is in Swakopmund, is where.
Yeah, now, Honorable Kauandenge, one of the things for somebody who's been running political parties over the years, it's not cheap to run these things. It costs money to organize a rally. It costs money to print that t-shirt, that beret that you are wearing. How are you bang rolling this thing called Asoli? Where is the money coming from?
You want me to reveal my sources? Where I'm getting the money? No, I'm bang rolling it myself from the savings that I have accumulated over the years. There are other leaders with me as well that are also helping here and there. So it's self-funded. That's the right quick answer, from our own pockets. Yes.
Perhaps you can briefly talk about Asoli, what Asoli stands for, the core value political ideology of Asoli, and how do you align with the needs and aspiration of Namibian people?
The colors also, can you just tell us about the colors? What is it? Some people are saying it's the German flag.
Aye, my lord. Colors, we just, there is a process. Okay, let me start here. There is a process when you register an association or organization or political party at the Electoral Commission, that they say, here are the registered political parties. Please look there, but make sure that your colors does not or are not similar to already registered political parties. So we look at it, and none of those political parties has a yellow color, I mean as a main color. And we said, now we are going for yellow, because even if you see the color itself is bright, right?
Yes.
And perhaps it's one reason why it is attracting so many young people, because they are attracted to the brightness of the yellow color. And then we say, okay, what are we aiming for as Asoli? We want to pull people out of poverty, out of wherever they are. So we decide these two hands to say, and a slogan to say, pulling each other up, because we want to pull each other up and move with everybody wherever we want to go. So that is basically the background behind the name Asoli. And then we say, let's get a name. And we say Association for Localized Interest, because the interest that we are saving under Asoli for now, it's localized. It's in Windhoek, or it's in Swakopmund, or it's where. There are interests that are very localized, and hence the name. But the core values really, for me, is that having been a young person and having been subjected to unfair treatments by my elders at the time, being seen like as a young person you don't have a voice or you cannot think for yourself. I have seen young people that I have brought, even in Nudo for that matter, asking me, from where we are, where do we go? I said, what do you mean? No, we are here, you brought us here as Kavangos, as whatever, but how do we progress from where we are to be able to become full-time politicians or what? And I did not have that answer. Because unfortunately, where I were, before you can become where you want to become, the first question is that to which group or tribe or whatever do you belong? To which group among the party do you belong? First and foremost, which is set. Now, I needed to create something where young people will flourish unhindered. Because as we speak or as we launch this association, you will come and see so different types of young people under the banner or Asoli. You are not only going to see Hereros there, because I'm a Herero, no ways. You are going to see Kawangos there, you are going to see Damaras there, or Shiwambo speaking there, whatever, they are there. Why? Because perhaps they have heard the clarion call of what Asoli stands for, to create that environment for young people, to be able for them to flourish under the Asoli name and be able to be molded into becoming future politicians when we are not there. Because the travesty of many of our political parties is that we don't create or leave succession plans in place. The moment when Kauandenge goes, then Asoli is dead, which is really sad. We must be able to say, for the time that I'm here, this is my understudy. When I'm not anymore there, please take over. I'm going to rest. And we don't have those in our political parties, unfortunately. Because perhaps if you bring a young person next to you, you will think next tomorrow that person might want to get your position. So that is the message behind the Asoli movement.
Mm. And what is your vision and strategic agenda for City of Windhoek if elected, especially with regards to service delivery and governance and urban development?
Well, City of Windhoek has a potential really to address those issues that affect most of our people, especially in informal settlement. But my clarion call will be that we must take politics out of the City of Windhoek affairs, first and foremost. Because when we are in the City of Windhoek, it doesn't have to matter from which political party you are coming from, because we are serving one constituency, irrespective of whether they are from Swapo or whatever the case might be. And I think at our time when we were there, we accomplished some of those, not many of them, because we could manage to take politics out of the council deliberations and focus on the issues at hand. But broadly, the issue of informal settlement needs to be addressed. It's growing at an alarming rate. The few weeks that we have been campaigning in places like, for our membership drive, places like Havana and those places, I could not believe it that those people have really built checks up to the mountains, because maybe it's been a while since I went there. So the most population of Windhoek are residing there, right? And we are going there as politicians now to look for their votes. And then once we come and we sit and we relax, I don't think that will be from our side. We will try to influence policy direction within the City of Windhoek. We'll try to talk and see what can we do, not only talking, but also helping from our side as Asoli as well, to address those issues that are common and where we can. I remember when I was sitting in the city of Windhoek, and I open my gate where I'm staying, you will see an elderly coming. Mwashe, my water has been cut. I owe 1,500. It's an elderly that time. Now what I will do is that, because perhaps by my nature, I will not go and look for funds from somebody. I will take from my own pocket and say, Mama, let's go and let me pay for you your water bills at the city of Windhoek, or electricity, or whatever the case might be. And that is something that we want to calculate within the leadership of Asoli, that at times we have to meet government halfway. It's not only that we also always have just to say bring. It's going to be very difficult. It's not going to be easy, but provided what composition the city of Windhoek will come up with, we will be there to help and to direct and to bring our expertise to the table to say, let's address this in this fashion or manner.
Yeah, maybe while we are at the city of Windhoek, one of the things we recall back in 2020 and the years before that, there was always this criticism meted out against SWAPO, the ruling party, for having failed the city, for having run the city into the ground. But the configuration, as you say, changed in 2020, and Windhoek's residents basically through their vote gave the city into the hands of the opposition parties. When you look back now, how has the opposition performed as a collective?
The opposition in the city of Windhoek have let the Windhoek residents really down, and I have said this on many occasions, because it was a perfect opportunity for the opposition to showcase that if we say SWAPO is bad, we should be better, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's also a question of, do political parties vet those people that they are bringing at places like city of Windhoek, for instance? Or is it the person that is shouting the loudest that is brought? Because for you to be able to deliver for your people, you must have grown somewhere among your community, have helped them in a location or whatever, before you can actually become a councillor, for that matter. So now if you bring someone that has never worked with people before, what do you expect from that person? So the opposition really failed the Windhoek residents, as far as I'm concerned, because it was a perfect opportunity for us collectively to showcase that we can be better than SWAPO. So, and I'm not going to be surprised even this year if the residents of Windhoek says, no, we are going to vote SWAPO in majority again, and the opposition will just get one vote or seat for the sake that you have let us down, you know. So I will also not be surprised. Yes.
So what is Asoli going to do that is different?
From?
Looking at the way the situation is, Windhoek's residents, what are you promising the residents of the city? They have seen what SWAPO has been able to do before 2020. They have now been shown the performance over the last 4 or 5 years. What do you bring to the table that's different?
Well, as I have said, we will. There is one thing that people can say about the person that is head or the leader of this party. I mean, not the party, the association, Kauandenge. You can insult me and call me all the names, but there is one thing that is universal and true to everybody, is that where Kauandenge is, things happen. Where he is, things are addressed. Where he is, things get addressed. So I will try my level best to bring, as I have said, from the Asoli side, our expertise on the table of the city of Windhoek. We will address those issues that are core to our people. We will try to see how we can help them wherever we can help them through the Asoli movement. And we will be proactive, as I have said. We will not be sitting at the back and waiting for government or whoever to come and address those issues of our people. Yes.
In terms of your reform agenda, sometimes people say, if you look at the Local Authority Act and how these authorities are not basically service providers rather than profit-making entities, and the lack of subsidy thereof for them to execute the politics and the business side of things not really going hand in hand. What needs to change at local authority level for this local authority to really fulfill their mandates?
Firstly, the Electoral Act needs to be amended. It's just unfortunate that for the past 35 years, the powers have been too much concentrated in central government, where you have a minister vested with all the powers to do as he or she pleases as far as local authority is concerned. And there is a reform paper that has been lying there for the past 30 years. It is completed. Studies have been done as to how the local authority must be empowered to be able to address these socio-economic problems. But that reform paper has been ignored because the powers needed to be concentrated only in central government. If at the end or at the dawn of our independence, government realized the importance that municipality plays as the first point of entry in terms of service delivery, I'm sure by this time we could have been very far. That's one. So that reform paper must be brought back. It must be made a law, and local authority should and must be reformed in one aspect or two aspects, which is, one, it does not make any sense whatsoever for a mayor of a city to be recycled every December. If I, as a member of parliament or as a minister, can say after 5 years that I haven't done enough, I need another term. What about a mayor that you elect in January, and by November there is an election, there is a new mayor? I don't know where we got that system from, because it's really defeating the whole purpose, because that mayor will not be able to deliver anything within 9 months or so. So that aspect will also really need to be addressed. And the question of funding to local authority needs also to be addressed. But overall, the Local Authority Act and the reform paper needs to be really, the reform paper needs to be brought so that it can be implemented, and the Local Authority Act should and must be really amended. Because as it is now, it is not serving the interest of local authorities across the country. Yes.
Lastly, what do you think, what message do you have to the nation? Why must the nation trust and vote for Asoli?
Maybe also in closing, together with that one, why should Namibians also turn up in their numbers in November, to participate in the regional councils and local authority elections? Why are these elections important?
Well, to start with your question, I don't know about the regional elections in a setup of towns. Because for me, I think it was created for jobs of comrades only. Because what does a regional councillor do in the city of Windhoek? If I have a problem with my house, water or electricity or whatever, I will go directly to my local councillor from the municipality. What am I going to do at a regional councillor? So I think there is a question of, we must relook and rethink critically whether the positions of regional councillor in towns setup are serving their purposes, or was created just to give jobs to comrades at the time of their establishment, because I think that was the issue. The reason why Namibians across the country should go and vote in big numbers, because remember, the local authority elections, people are not really paying much attention to them. If you say Windhoek has almost 400,000 inhabitants, and out of those 400,000, maybe 300,000 or 200 are eligible to vote, you will find a situation where only 50,000 will turn up to vote, because for them local authority election is nothing compared with the national election, which is, I think they are making the biggest mistakes, because this is where your bread and butter issue are addressed. This is where your rate and taxes are addressed. This is where your water bill and rates are added on top of every month or so, and this is where you are living in terms of electricity and water. So it's really important for them to turn out and vote in masses, to be able to hold their own councillors accountable as well at the end of the day, to say, I have this problem, and it must be addressed. For the question that you ask, we have said what we really wanted to give to the nation as Asoli. In due time, we will come back and say this is our policy position on so many other issues. And it's up to Namibians to say yes to Asoli or no, thank you. We are happy where we are.
Unless you have anything else that you want us to take note of or to pass to the public. A final parting word will be, let us stop judging people based on what the media portray them to be, without taking the time and energy to be inquisitive to find out, why is this person acting like this way? Why is he starting Asoli? Why is he doing this and this and this and this? Because at times, the media might not portray the correct narrative of a person, capacity and personality. But then you base your judgment, your conclusion, based on what the media has written about a particular person. But the moment when you sit with that person, like we are sitting here, you realize then that what I have been reading, what I have been told, what I have been fed by the media is not necessarily what this person represent. So that is my only message to the public outside there. But again, for me, as Kauandenge, as a politician, as a farmer, as a musician, as a whatever the case might be, jack of all trades, political, whatever the names they are calling and whatever, I remain true to myself and my mission. I'm one of these type of people that says, bring it on. So long as I know what I'm doing, I have convinced myself it's correct. I really don't give a hoot who says what about me. I will be reading your comments and smiling and laughing and say, look at this one, and put it down and go ahead and do my thing. So that's me. I'm just me like that. Mr. Kauandenge, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And that concludes our interview. Until next time, good night.
Thank you.